Good morning. How you doing? Yeah. Oh, sorry about that, Tommy. Yes, Waffles. I knew my mic was off. Talking to somebody in the room here. No. How's it going? I should put on my headset. No, I know. Listen to my chill music today. We got TGIF. It's Friday. Well, today, just so you know, I'm going to be working on some cool stuff. Working on the 3D plugin template and the documentation that goes with it so that anybody can download the template, get a quick start, and actually create stuff that works with WalkTheWeb. So, yeah, very cool stuff, right? Yeah. So, welcome to WalkTheWeb, and I'm Dr. Aaron Dishno, and call me Aaron. All my friends call me Aaron, so hey, go for that. I know I should change my name on here, huh? But here we go. Okay, so let's see what else we got here. Okay, so jumping right in, what I've got is I've been working on this documentation here. That's not it. Okay, let me refresh this because that's part of what I'm doing, but that's not the page I'm working on. Let's get rid of those little things. We took care of that already. Okay, so what do we have? This is some of the documentation. Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, so this is what we have so far. I've been creating things like you can create a developer ID, like for me it's WTW. That's going to be the identifier for any plugin that you create. You download the template, and then I've got three things if you replace them with your plugin dev ID and plugin template, and kind of mix the case, do the case the same way and stuff, then you'll actually have this in the same way I do. So I've done a document about the object naming scheme, and then here it comes into the writing the code. I think I may need something else in between there, but we'll build it as we go. Right now I'm actually working on this molds page, working on the code that does that, so that you can create your own custom molds and shapes that you drop into scenes, and putting together the piece that'll let us work with that. So, with that in mind, I need a new article. Yeah. Oh, I should have done it. If I hold down Control, then it starts a new page, because basically I like doing new pages instead. Switching to the classic editor. Need to be able to type what I need to type. Let me get back into here with my root site. Got a little format that I've been following, so easy enough to try to copy what I did before instead of writing this all from scratch. Knowledge base. I'm going to edit this one. I know I left the home page again, but I'll back up on this one. Okay, I want to put that link at the top of every page that I create. So as I create a new article here, this one is going to be called, yeah, we're good on that one. 3D plugins, molds, that works. Molds, which are, actually, I don't want to put that name on there just yet. We'll put that it's underneath 3D plugin development, and even though the page isn't ready, I'm going to put publish because I want it to create the proper tag and stuff and create the page under that, which it did right there. Now if I change the name, I can do that and it won't affect it. So good stuff. Okay, so from here, what do we have? I had a nice description at the front opening page. These are 3D object shapes, particle systems, and Babylon code produced effects like smoke used in the 3D scenes. Use this to create your own custom molds and meshes. Okay, that's a good... Actually, I'll take that whole sentence since it's going to be that page that I'm describing. I wonder if Cloud is watching Bocus. You know, maybe. Oh, there he is. Why not? Good morning. Morning, Bocus. How you doing this morning? I'm just getting started. It's an early morning for me, but hey, do what you got to do, right? It's a Friday, so I thought I'd get some streaming in and then get the rest of my day of whatever I'm supposed to do. You know, obligations come last, right? Not bad, not bad. Yeah, good deal. Good deal. Got hot coffee. I got computer. I got... Hey, I'm alive. I'm not sick. A lot of things to be thankful for, right? It's Friday. I'm going to go into a weekend here. A lot of good things. What's this automated message? Yeah, I know, Waffles. I know. I think I learned it from you. I may have too many of them in place, but... I didn't even have those in place until I saw you do it. So I copied you. Okay, so basically, this first part that I'm writing on right here is about creating your own shapes. Now, that actually has to do with creating a page in the plugin that lets you define what your shapes are, but there's actually 3 pieces involved. The first one is... I didn't need that page open. The first one is this. We create the mold itself. So in our core code, the basic molds JavaScript, which I think I stated that wrong. It's WTW underscore basic molds JavaScript. In that page are a bunch of examples of things we've created. Each one has a variable called mold. It creates the object that it wants to do, and then it spits that back out. It returns it so that we can add things like is pickable, is add collisions, and all the other things that we do after it's actually created the shape. So this is just the core of creating the shapes. And notice we have cylinders, cones, and all kinds of cool things in here. Then we have some different ones. There's some lines, there's half pipe, text box. Okay, so there's some of these in here, such as wrapping a mold with a frame, an image with a frame around it and different things, where I took and I created, the first thing is actually a hidden covering over the top of it, and it's alpha 0, so it's transparent. But I create the mold that way, so it's a 1 by 1 by 1 cube or whatever size you scale it. And then I take everything else that's part of that object and I set the parent back to the mold. So that way, this is the object and its scaling, position, and everything else in the scene. But then anything else that I build as part of this piece in here is actually sets the parent back to the original piece. So every time I add a new part, you'll see there's a parent setting back to the core parts, so that it's always a child of the item. That way, when I delete the item, I can check for children and delete each one of the pieces that are part of that item. So that's what it all boils down to, really. Okay, so yeah. No, they come first. What you in about it? What you gonna do about it? I know. I know. What you sending me? Cocky Gilby. What is this? I don't think I should open that link in my on my onboard screen. I got my chill music here. Let's see. Oh, your webpage. Hey, there you go. Cool. Checking it out. Nice. Cool. Looking good. Nice and clean. I like it. Owen. Looks good. I like it. It's looking good all the time. Keep adding things to it. Okay, so the thing with the molds are there are three parts. There are three functions. Mold definition. Then we have the... Oh wait, no, it's... Actually, I should say mold creation. Mold creation. Then there's the mold... the default values. And then finally... mold form fields. The mold creation, Babylon code that creates the meshes. Babylon code that creates the meshes. We'll talk more about that in a minute. This one, default values. Position. I should say relative position, then I don't have to worry about that. Sets the relative position because I already know where directly in front of you is, and that's what I usually use. So position, scaling, rotation, materials, etc. Anything that you need to do when you first create one as a default, then they can always change it and update it from there. So it's the basic starting values. For example, when we create a box, it starts at scale 10 by 10 by 10. I know that looks weird. I could do it that way. 10 by 10 by 10. Why does it look so dang small? Okay, well, that's fine. Okay. I should say scaling, that's the technical term. Okay, scaling. And then mold form fields. Handles a lot of different meshes. Ways to edit meshes. It doesn't turn off and on this section. Basically sets to the sections to show or hide. For example, selecting a height map. Okay, so basically that's the kind of stuff that it does, and now we'll break down each one of these sections. And let me just update that so we know what we're dealing with. We'll set that after it loads it. Bold. Whoops, what did I hit? Undo that. Bold. Missed bold by one character, and next thing you know I'm pasting, right? Okay, so those are the three areas there. I'll click update again. And the first one in our plugin is this right here, which add custom mold, and it basically tells it, Here's the basic invisible box if you need it, or you can change it to what you actually need it to be, whatever you're going to create. The second function is, I can get that from in the code. Let's see, it's not functions. It is under molds in the add mold list. This particular piece here, what we have is plugin molds happens right here, and basically we're adding, oh, that adds the name to the list. That's not a problem. I don't have to manually do that one. That part's okay. I'll show you how to add that afterwards. But there's the add mold, and I have some other things in here for applying the physics to it and everything else. And then we have set no mold default. This is the one I want. And we're going to put that in here. Yeah, I figured I got to get this done anyway, so I might as well do it online, right? And this is going to be set new mold defaults. And it'll be that plugin template name. And that's the function, so switch the shape. Shape is the name of the object without the piece. I may have to add the piece where you're add it to the list, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so then the shape case, and we basically say what it is. So for this case, custom, I'm just going to say my custom mold. We should do it up here too. My custom mold. And you replace my custom mold with your name, obviously. So then this is the definer here, and common things. Let's pick one here. I want to do a box or something straightforward. Triangle torus. I think I used default as a box if you don't pick anything else, so that it creates something on the scene no matter what you do. There it is, box. We'll take box. Passing those values into here. Okay, I have a couple more values. We already have those values for position and rotation, so we know what's right in front of you to a certain degree. So let me make sure we're passing those values in here. Let me see, at the very bottom of this, after it goes through and picks all the default ones that I added in here, then it does this. We want it to, we're going to fix this right now. It needs to have position X, Y, Z, position X, position Y. Boy, my naming scheme's all off on these because that should be a lowercase, all lowercase, just to match all the other ones I did. And then we have the rotation. That gives us the initial settings. We can bring all that in here. I should rename all those right now while I'm in here. And of course, when we do that, we also need to catch it up in the other place, which is in our functions, we have the plugins. And this one has a section in here. I can detect it right here. See how it has all these various pieces? Each one of these are different hooks into the code. And we're going to make sure this one has what it's supposed to. Okay, plugin selected. Let's see, where is it? I could have just searched the code for that name and I would have found it. Action zones. Mold, plugin molds, web molds, add molds, add new mold, load mold form, set mold defaults. Here we are. And this particular one brings in shape right there. We need to do what we just did here. Modify that to be that. Now we have all the different pieces going in there like it should. And we'll be able to pull them to here. I'll tie the knot on that so we can have that all in place afterwards. But then there's one more piece here. After we do that one, the next one is we set the mold fields, which is going to be this guy. Oh, I didn't mean to bring that piece in there. We do not have a mold being returned. There's nothing to be returned here. It just sets those values on the fields that are going to tell it to update the actual properties of the item. So you can set these to whatever you need them to be. Mold scaling, I should set those by default 1 to 1 to 1. Then if you build a custom mold, it's the size you created it. You can always adapt or adjust those. I should put a note here. Okay, so shape is the of the name of my custom all lowercase and no spaces. And then position X, Y, Z, and rotation Y are calculated from the camera position. From the current camera position. So it's in front of the camera. So if you're adding something, it's basically right in front of you every time you add a new object. So that's why we put those objects in here. The default position is directly in front of the camera, about 20-ish places or something. 20 or 50, something like that. I don't know. I didn't look at the number right now. In fact, I can tell you the exact number. We are going... Okay, it is... Might as well look it up. While I'm saying it, we used a function, position XYZ. Okay, it's 50. So it's 50 units in front of us. So about 25 feet or whatever. Yeah, I know. A lot of people use metrics around the world. I'm in feet in my brain, so... So if I'm in feet in my brain, does that mean I put my foot in my mouth with saying that? Okay, I'm in rare form today, right? Okay, so this next section, see these ones all set default values. Some are 20 by 1 for a wall. Then I do floor is 20 by 20. I have different settings for different things. 10 by 10 by 10 box. Rounded box, I do the same size. 3D text is a 1 by 1 by 1 because the text itself is scaled. Notice in this one I did the position. I made it go -4 so that it's not directly in front of it. It's a little bit down. I can also rotate it by 90 degrees, which default text is actually this way from you, so 90 degrees actually put it directly in front of you. Little things like that. You can adjust these to be whatever you need it to be when you run them. So some of them have, and by the way, the rotation is in degrees. It gets converted to radians when it is used, but all of our stored things in the database are in degrees so that we can read them easy. Yeah, so we use and save the numbers in our forms that are all degrees. And then we apply radians to the actual objects we convert when we do it. And there's a simple function for that. You just do WTW get radians with a capital R, and you can put in your values and it'll automatically convert it. Same thing back to get degrees. There's a function for that too. Those are all in the common file, wtw_common.js. So now that I've said that, I feel like I'm doing a commercial. Okay, the next one, set mold form fields. And in this section, what we're going to do is, this one, we have certain areas that we turn off and on the, let's see here, we use the shape and we turn off and on the different sections of the form. If you were to open under forms and go to molds, or mold, PHP, these are the objects we're talking about. There's different sections like WTW object div. Then there is the position section, length, which is scaling, by the way. But see, like right here, terrain height div. These are the things that we're turning off and on to hide or show the sections of the form. And notice I have a nice handy form for that. We have WTW show and WTW hide. We can also do a show inline so that it doesn't take its own thing. So if it's in line with something, we have those functions available. So basically I'm just saying show or hide, and I'm picking each one of these sections. The other part is there are parts like mold position title, and you can describe what you want the title of each section to be. The save button, so if you have something special you need to say on that, or the delete button. You can do the edit. So any one of these items you can change and make it match whatever object you are creating. So I want to pick one of these. I think some of them are on the default form, so I want to kind of use one that is like this. And once again, these are using the shape to define which one it is. So in this case, the sphere. And I can grab that over here, put that in. Okay, grab this, which will be our case in point. And then at the break, copy that. And this just gives us an idea of what we can do with it. It's not meant to be cure all, send all, whatever, but here's a name of a bunch of different sections that you find in the in that mold form. Okay, so any one of these things, mold position title. So I'm just going to put my mold for short, or I can put my custom mold position, length, rotation, texture, image, bump image if you use one. And basically by setting those pieces here and then these sections turning off or on what you want to do, that pretty much hides or shows only the pertinent parts to your particular mesh that you're creating. So that one ends up being pretty cool. And the labels, actually. Define the labels on the form. Define the labels and button names used on the form, and then or hide. Took out the wrong letter. Show or hide the and I'm going to tell you the name of the form is core forms, and it's mold.php as the reference. Okay. Well, actually, this goes right here, and this goes right there. And in the same way we did this here, shape is the name of the custom mold, all lowercase and no spaces. We'll do that again because that's what it is. And there we go. Position, I should take this and put it right where we're actually using it. And I'm going to move this rotation. Well, I should move it. Well, I like to keep it in position scaling rotation, so it's fine. Even though that one has a value and these do, you get the idea. Okay. Subdivisions isn't all that important. I was going to use it to count the subdivisions used or set them, but that's an idea. Some of them don't even use that value. Like if you create a cube, it has the number of subdivisions that it needs. If you create a sphere, then it's all of a sudden important because your subdivisions define how refined that it uses the subdivisions to create the sphere. It's how many, it has to do with the faces and the way that it breaks it down. Okay, so we have set new mold form here. We have the set new mold defaults. We have this up here, which, okay, I got that on all of them. No, we don't. Here we go. Put that on there. That's the 3 different pieces we need in this section. The one other part I noticed that we're doing is we have this right here, which WTW mold list. This section, mold list comes from this plugins of mold list. I think we're fine. That all happens from PHP, so we don't have to physically type it in here. But there is going to be a bridge over to this. By the way, there's the plugin set mold fields, and it uses set mold form fields and puts it all in this section right here. It will pull each one of these things that we create, and I'll show you how we bridge that right now. In the class, what we have is this section. Set new action zone defaults. There's a bunch of different pieces in here. So what I do, hook plugins into existing WTW functions. That's what we're doing, and I'm going to section this off into a couple areas. New action zone, new molds. Okay, so this would be the new mold, and basically all I have to say is my custom mold, and is it a type web mold, or there's 2 different ones. There are web molds, web mold, or mold. I want to double check how I used them in here. Here. Just making sure I get the documentation right. Okay, plugins mold, and it uses the mold list, and yeah, it's either mold or web mold. Those are the 2 different values. So let me make a note here. The following create a list of new molds added by this plugin and assign the script, to create the mold. So custom molds are going to be this section. Let's see, my custom mold. We're going to put it either in the web mold or mold section. I need a definition piece here. Let's do this. So this will be name for the list. web mold or mold. Choose the list. Then we have, that would be this name. Oh, is it that one? Or no, it isn't that one. It is this name, which is the name of the running function version of itself. So go back here. It will be that name, which we're going to use again right there in a second. And function name, and then past values. Okay, so in this case we are doing for a custom mold, we are passing in, we're using add my custom mold, which will be that, and our values are the mold name that we're going to call it, that's something else I need to discuss here in a second. Yeah, okay, so it's exactly the same for that piece of it. This line adds the mold. And then we have two more pieces that we need to add here, which are, we need to bring in we need to tie in this set new mold defaults and this set mold form fields. So I'm going to copy that 2 more times. And this one is going to be, see how up here we have, oh actually it's not that. Add mold definition is that one, but we need add script function. That's what we're adding. Let me just copy these up here because I don't want to get the wrong fields by doing this wrong. Copy those 2, bring them down here, and then we'll get the names right. And it's going to be this name for that. And we already know this. You know what, I'm just going to pull that whole thing there. I know this isn't user interaction so much today with the stuff we're doing, but this is all good stuff if you plan on creating any different plugins to WalkTheWeb. This is good stuff. So need to show you how to do it, how we can create these different pieces and follow the patterns that we need. And these are the hooks that we're doing right now, so you can actually tie the hooks right into the code. And what happens is we have this piece here. Okay, by the way, this one here, we're going to look these up, but what we have is each one of these have a different list. So it is telling us, here's the section form fields, here's the mold, here's the web mold list, here's the add molds, which comes from that other function that we just did. Open new mold, load mold forms, set mold defaults. So this is the name of the script function. We're in our code over here, we're actually using that name to put it into this piece of code into the array of values that are in there. So then when it runs this function in the main code, every one of those are listed here. So this passes the value and then it runs every one of your functions in the code. So this is our hook. This piece is running in the code at that particular place. This allows you to put exactly what you type right here. Anything that is in this, your function that you're running, is the exact code that you're putting in line in this place here. And it assembles it with PHP, and then just puts it on the page and runs it from there. So that's what this is actually doing. That's why I use this value and also set mold form fields. As long as it matches this name here, then this name puts this script right in its place. That's all it does. Now, custom molds have a couple other places, so that was a little different than doing these scripts because that will put the list, that creates the first list, so it puts it in the array of possible values. Now, what I'm talking about on that one, let me show you. Just like it says web mold here, what we actually have is this. When I'm working on the website, and let me open a building just so we have something to work with. Test site works for me. And I want to add something new to this scene. I'm going to turn off my zones. We don't need to see those right now. Okay, so I want to add something into this scene. What happens is edit building, and then we have two lists. This one is a mold list, the building blocks, and this one is the web objects, web molds. So basically, if you want it to show up on this list, then call it mold. If you want it to show up on this list, call it web mold. And basically it'll show up on this list. Then when you click it, it uses these three parts we just created. So it will use this function to create the mold. It will use this function to set the defaults when it puts it on your screen. And it will use this function to, just like here, if I say add, I don't know, let's see, if I just put add an image, what it does is, just like here, see how it put that board there? That right there used the position XYZ right here. It used the default lengths of whatever I told it to be here, and then it used the rotation of whatever I told it to be here. So it automatically rotated 90 degrees, which may want to undo that one in the future, but oh, I moved my position of my avatar 90 degrees, so that's why it's facing that way now. Okay, I can still fix that, don't worry. We'll get to that. Different issue. And of course, you can set your images of what is showing on the image, because that's what it is. Now these sections, this one can have an image, so and it has a hover image, and it also has a click event possible, and whatever else if you click on it, so it can work like a link if you choose. So it depends on which sections of this form you need for your particular object that you're creating. You can turn off or on any one of these sections. So that makes it pretty nice for creating a new object. And then, of course, because we scale them all to work with our first piece, that doesn't have a width, and we can make it do whatever we want it to do. That's what we have. So that's what it is. Okay, I'm going to cancel that by clicking delete the image. I don't need it in this test scene. So that's what these three sections right here did, and we added them as three different parts on this page. You have the mold that you create, and you can add anything you want from Babylon here. Just all that I ask is that you parent it to this so that it shows up in the right location based on where this little box is put, or have it replace this box if you want to use the scaling and position and everything directly. A position and rotation get applied after it builds the object. So my code afterwards adds a lot of things. For example, it will do the position, rotation, and it will do the, it'll apply the material on the surface if you haven't applied one. It will set the collisions. It'll set if it's pickable or not. It will set all the other parts after the fact here. So anything else that it has to do with. It also queues it. The whole queuing system, everything else all works too. Okay, so this is the basics of doing a mold. So now to complete the documentation part of this. These are 3D objects, shapes, particle systems, Babylon code, produced effects like smoke, used in 3D scenes. This is to create or add your own custom molds. I think what we need is There are two different types. Building block or web objects. I think what I need is, I need to create, I'm going to do this the easy way. Oops. I know you shouldn't say oops after saying I'm going to do it the easy way, right? I'm just going to do this in Paint real quick. I want to, and actually, let me do that again because I want the list to be solid. I don't want it to be transparent in my image here. Okay, there we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink down this to about there. Rotate, flip vertically so that I can kill off the top here. It doesn't get much easier than that. Now we have this sign, and I'm going to put a little red box around. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm going to put a red box around these two sections here. Okay, File, Save As. You know, I could add the other two pieces to this before I continue this. Make all three one image. Yeah. Okay, let me just come in here, building block, Alt, print screen. Quick, easy, fast graphics, right? Take another window here. I'm going to first start by shrinking that down, do this, and I need it from about there to there, and rotate, flip vertically, and kill that off at there. And now what I'm going to do, flip it back vertically. I'll copy that. And by the way, this is, I'm going to make it bigger than I need it right now. So I will take this screen. I'm going to set the background to black. Now, update that, and V for paste it. There's one of them. I'll chop some more off this afterwards, and I'll also, well, hang on. Let me give a little space in between them. So there's one of them, and then I'm going to do the next one, which is okay, do this, paste it here, chop it down to there, just anywhere near that. Rotate, flip vertically, and right to the top of that box. Rotate, flip vertically. I'm not too worried about being exact on this because it doesn't really matter. Bring this one open and paste it here and put that one there. That looks pretty good. Take the bottom, bring it up to there, and shrink it to about there. Okay, then what I can do is I'll take my red box, and basically just create a box around each one of these. And I'm not looking for exact, it doesn't have to be. Ah, that looks cleaner than it was. Okay, so we have a pretty good explanation of those two things. Building blocks, web 3D objects. What I should do is, we had two different keywords in our plugin. We have web mold or mold. So let's put that on this page too. Okay, type that here. Mold. Actually, I can do both of them right here. Just do I know. Just killed the distance there. Oops. Didn't mean to drop it. Try that again. I think I'm going to put it up in this area. Mold, and then web mold. Those are the two sections, and I'm going to give it just a little more space. That, close enough. I hate when it does that. You have it looking in one place, and then when you let go, it moves over just a fraction. So, mold. Let's try that again. Web mold, it's going to jump over that. So let me back up that one space, and now this side isn't right. Let me back it up a couple spaces now. I think if I do it there, oops, I didn't want to hit that. Okay, let's click away. Yeah, moved it over, but it didn't hit my red line on the edge. Okay, that should, how does it look? Did it? Yeah, looks good to me. And the final part would be, yeah, that's a cool graphic. That'll work. So file, save, and throw it on my desktop. Just go samples. That works. Mold versus web mold. Save. And the graphics out of there, so that works. And now on this page, okay, right here, I'm going to add media, upload, here we go, and desktop, not that desktop, sorry, desktop, WalkTheWeb, samples, and we have this new piece that we just created. Okay, and that is centered, full size, insert into post. Okay, there we go. It's pretty decent. That'll work. So basically all the building blocks that you can add. These molds and web molds, okay, so they can be used in any of the 3D buildings, communities, and things. So your scenes, your, yeah, pretty much any one of those places. Basically, when you're adding something, it pulls out these lists, and 3 functions to add a mold to the scene. Mold creation, this Babylon code that creates the meshes, mold default values, and mold form fields. Hooks. Okay, so let's see, JavaScript functions. I'm gonna take that and make it a heading 3. hooks. Correct place for execution. Those are our hooks. The hooks are basically PHP. Hooks are PHP. That will tie the functions, the JavaScript functions into the WalkTheWeb code in the correct place for execution. Okay, that's what hooks are. And the 3 hooks that we need were, just trying to document this as we go. Oh, I'm on the wrong page. Here we go. Hooks are added in the plugin. What file is this? Class plugin PHP file. Functions. Okay, so the plugin, functions, class, plugin. Content, plugins, your plugin, functions, .php. I could just say plugin. Let me do it that way. I don't need to describe the whole path. I think you got the idea. Plugin, functions, class, plugin. File. Referencing the init hooks function. Init hooks function. Bold on that so we can see what it is. Okay, and here's our sample code. We'll put, I think I just did a, was it a green box around these things on the last page? I think I did. Text. We will put div. I should make a class, it'd be easier, huh? Equals border 1px. So that's the code to do it. Yeah, let me just leave it that way. let's get after this. Okay, and after it finishes that div, then I need make sure it gives me a blank space. Okay, let me look at the page, see what we need here. Okay, first line. Add mold def function, and that uses is the name you want to see on the list. Then that's web mold. Selects the list to add your custom mold to. I don't need to use the word. Selects the list to add your custom mold. Selects which list to add your custom mold. And so I'll put that in bold there, bold, okay, and then I should do it this way. Jeez, I hate when it does that. Let me back that up. Okay, go into here. It doesn't like when you type within something that's already there. So let me move that to its own line. And this one will be and it'll be name mold name list and function. And that's basically it. That's that one. The second one, I'll put a space in between it. And I probably have to do that to keep the space. Otherwise, this thing doesn't like to keep spaces for some reason. It's not designed for a programmer. It's designed for somebody who doesn't know how to program, right? This one, that script function, and then this would be hook and function. And that's for all three of those, or both of those other ones. Defines both of those pieces. And now if I come back in here, I'm going to bold that just so we see the definition separate than the use of it. Web mold and my JavaScript JS class. I should spell it JavaScript because you can't see that otherwise. My JavaScript class dot function parameters. Okay, so the function basically is, I should do it this way. It's coming together, it's coming together. And this is list, and this one is mold name. Mold name is the name you want to see on the list. Function hook, the name of the function where it's inserted, all lowercase. Example. For a complete and current list of hooks and parameters, hooks and class plugins. Is it class plugins? Class WTW plugins, PHP. And this is get script functions. Class WTW plugins. Okay, that's fine. Some of these return values, let me see here, like, I don't want to do a avatar related one. Let me do, like the mold one. Mold one was a good example. Plugins, web molds, plugins, molds. Okay, web molds. And it returns the mold list. No, I want to add molds. For example, this right here. Why doesn't, oh, that's mold definitions. That's not like all the rest of them. Add new mold, low mold. I'm going to use this one since we, no, but see, that doesn't have a return value. Yeah, I'll use this one. complete current list of sample. Sample hook code section, and that's what it looks like. This would be I don't need the /rn on this, by the way. Those are to get blank lines in the code, so I don't need it to show here. You get the idea if you see the actual code. I'm not going to leave those in there. In fact, they're meaningless other than if you'd like view source, then they show, you know, what they broke down and used and stuff. So it's really not that big a deal. Okay, so plugin set new modes default. This is the part. Okay, so what we have is okay, let me get the code in here for highlighting that section. And close this here. Okay, visual, and here we go. Okay, so available parameters can be seen here, and in this one, this is the list. This is the script list. Let's see what I call it up here. The hook. Hook name. Available parameters and hook name. Okay, so that takes care of that. You can look up any one of those using that page right here. I should say okay, sample hook code section looks like that, and basically that's the name of the hook. Okay, I'm not going to worry about it. That will take care of that section. That gives you a breakdown of that. I could show you the JavaScript here as the samples. Would that make a difference? Yeah, let's go ahead and I think I do want to bring in the code here. Even though I did it in the test page here, we do have these 3 samples. Put that there. And now, I know I didn't indent it or anything. How annoying. Okay, and if I take that right there. Oh, it looks horrible when it doesn't indent anything. Guess I have to do it manually. Copy that. I know I could do this with other code, but hey. It just gets it in place. Makes it easier to read. And return mold. Okay, and then we have this one. Try that. I know this is tedious. By the way, you see this dget? That is my document.getElementById. I shortened it and probably saved 1,000 lines of code just for doing that throughout this whole thing. Created a little function, just made it be the same thing as document.getElementById. It checks to see if the actual object is there. Actually, it doesn't even do that. All it does is wrap it so that it's document.getElementById. But I figured I saved a lot of writing in the code by doing that. Okay. There we go, and there. Okay, and one more to go. It's just easier to read. Okay, and we're getting there, we're getting there. And that one, I'll put an extra line in there. Okay, And this will all help it for anybody that wants to create a plugin. Makes it real easy to do. Okay, case. I need that to be. Actually, it is that little. Okay, and catch. Let's see, switch. It is at that level. Okay, and this one goes in twice, once, and once. Okay, so that kind of helped set those up, shows you the basic idea behind them. You create these functions, your dev.id template. That, I should define that someplace. Let me define that. Okay, so caps and underscore, that is what that is. Hold on that. And then replace my with dev.id and the name of the mold. There we go. That's enough notes about that for now. We may come back to this, revisit it, add some additional stuff, but for now, that should tell you what you're doing. That should be able to add it, should be able to create them, and then the form fields. This mold form handles a lot of different ways to edit meshes. This section sets the sections, the div sections to show or hide. For example, a landscape needs the section for setting a height map. These three main functions are shown below. That should do it. Okay, update. Did it screw up my code? Sometimes it reformats the whole dang thing, right? Okay. Looks like my formatting looks pretty good. I'll leave it there. And then on this page, I can take this and set it to this page. There we go. Done. Update. We're knocking them out. We're knocking them out. How we doing? Now, action zones are actually going to be a lot like molds, so I'm going to come back and do that later on when, I stream while I'm doing it. But basically, action zones do pretty much the same type of thing. When you edit your action zones, there's a list right here of the different types of action zones that you can add. It'll put the names in there, and yeah, it's pretty straightforward stuff. The same way we just did the last one. You have the three different sets. You have what creates the action zone. You have whatever code puts it on the list, sets up the form, shows the default values for it, and then so basically, and then what the form for editing it looks like, turning off and on the different sections. So action zones are just like the molds, so I'll come back and do that one. Coverings are actually the exact same way. We have the different types of things that you put onto them, and basically they're those same three categories. How you define the covering and what it actually does to the mesh, then how you the default values for that covering, like if it's a color, it may have a default color or transparency or whatever you need to do, and then the form fields for the covering wherever it shows, and that is related to the mesh because you put the coverings on the mesh when you're working with them. So it would be the same form.php file when you're working with those. Okay, so that covers those areas. Okay, download the 3D plugin template, which is that right there. So I'll make that a link also. And that one I'm going to tell it to open another browser, another window. And okay, so these items, if you download the template and you search and replace these three words with your dev ID and plugin template, which is the name of your plugin, then basically, it would automatically show it. Just do it in those formats, and you can search and replace across the whole plugin template. That sets them up very quick and easy. And then the naming scheme is used, just helps you out with a bunch of things. Trust me on that one. The naming scheme, once you understand that a little bit, you'll understand why when you click on an object, we don't say, what's the name of the object, but we say, we're looking for keywords within it, do an index of that, and get the keyword that you're looking for your definition of your item that you're searching for. Just a little house cleaning on how that works. We'll talk some more about that when I do some more of these PHP hooks. Okay, Connect PHP files, we'll talk about those and handlers and functions. Okay, menu items, you can actually add menu items. Okay, I'll just be breaking down a bunch of these different pieces at different times. But that's what we're doing. We're creating this out there, and as soon as I finish what's on this page, these different sections in here, then you will see the template available for everybody. So if you haven't seen it yet, that's where we're heading. That's what I'm creating, and we'll be back on there with that. So want to thank you for watching today. It's been a little bit of a lesson in how we put together the hooks and setting up the template so you can download it and immediately create your plugin and start adding your custom code to WalkTheWeb. So that's how we do it. Those are the various pieces. I'll be putting together a complete code walkthrough on the template when I'm done with these various sections, and I'll do one big long video that just walks you through and ties it, shows you what you can do with it and how it works and stuff. So I'll do that when we're done. So thank you very much for following me and watching today. I appreciate every bit of it, and I will see you again real soon. And don't forget, have a great weekend. It's Friday. Yay!